Welcome to episode 13 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, good buddy, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. It's going through a crazy hot spell over here, but it's nice. You know, the dog days of summer have hit.
Yes.
And just turning my sights to school now. That's where we're at.
It's a few weeks away, isn't it?
Yep, that it is. So just got to finish work off, and then we're back to the studies.
When's your last day of work?
August 27th.
August 27th. Okay, so a few weeks away.
Yes.
Everything's good here. I've had a busy morning, actually. I woke up at 5 a.m., went to photograph the sunrise, and we did a music video for an independent artist that we're going to feature in a couple of weeks. So that was really cool. So we did a really quick music video as the sun was sort of coming up.
All before 8 a.m.?
All before 8 a.m. I've been up for a while now.
Wow.
I've done more things before 8 a.m. than most people are going to do all day.
Absolutely. Good for you.
Yeah, so it's been a busy morning. In our Brisbane studios, we have our good buddy Darren, who engineers the show. Darren, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm awake.
All right, thanks, Darren.
He's awake.
All right, that's good. We want an awake engineer, so that's even better.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally, yes. All right, Nick, you are first. Go for it.
All right. I got to be honest. This week's song, it's a bit of a gamble by me. I like to live dangerously, but I knew at some point I just had to play a song by Young Thug. Now, Young Thug is one of rap's most interesting, provocative, and innovative artists. His style has undergone many evolutions and iterations, but one thing always stays the same, and that is his ability to pull off crazy flows with like mind-bending delivery and vocals. And this week's song, High, featuring none other than Elton John, sticks to that same formula. Now, honestly, it's so hard to imagine Elton John being a Thugger fan and liking his music, but in 2015, he said that he loves him. He's a massive fan of Young Thug and all of his work. So in 2016, they ended up hanging out in person. Young Thug played him this song, and the rest is history. Darren, why don't you just hit play? Now, I can't even imagine how strange Young Thug might sound to your middle-aged ears, but I'm curious to see what you think.
I think for me to sum up this song, I'm going to need the help of Michael Scott.
Okay.
Michael Scott's going to give us a hand here. Hold on 1 second.
Who do you think you are? What gives you the right?
Nick, I did not like this song. I don't know if it's my lizard brain, but it's Rocket Man. I don't like... I'm not a big Elton John fan. Let me say that first off. I'm not...
Okay.
I don't really like Elton John. I like a couple of his songs. But, yeah, to my lizard brain, I cannot not hear Rocket Man. And so when someone sings over it, this is the best analogy I can come up with. It's like you have a buddy who can't sing, but you convince him that he can sing. And so he goes on American Idol thinking he can sing, and then the hosts rip into him, but he's like, but I can sing. All my friends tell me I can sing, but your friends are just assholes. Or you're in a foreign country and you go to a karaoke and there's a guy who doesn't speak English singing Rocket Man.
That is kind of what it sounds like. Yeah, honestly, I think at most times when I listen to Young Thug, I think, I have to question, am I listening to the English language being like rapped or sung right now? And honestly, I don't know half the time. Like he's completely unintelligible in, I'd say, 40% of all of his songs.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I got that impression.
Yeah. No. I think it's really kind of Young Thug to help an up and coming artist out.
Sure.
And give him a big feature placement.
Sure.
And really, introduce Elton John to a new audience because.
Yeah.
I'm sure he needs the help. He really does. So I think that's very nice of Young Thug.
I remember I watched an interview with Elton John years ago. He was on like Letterman or Conan or something. They asked him, was like, is it true that when you buy a CD, you buy 3 CDs of each time you buy an album? He goes, yeah, one for each house. So and then the crowd started booing him. Was like, hey, at least I'm buying CDs, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah,
that is funny.
Yeah, I'm not a big Elton John fan. Rocket Man's an okay song, but yeah, I was listening to this. I was like, what's this guy doing? Like, it made no sense to me. I didn't know the story. I didn't know what he was trying to do. He just sort of garbled over the song. So I have a question. So why do you like this song?
So I absolutely adore this song. I think the way he reworks a classic song and weaves it in with his own musical style is masterful. I think his vocal performance is excellent. I think the way he uses his voice as an instrument and experiments with his vocals, which, you could say it sounds garbled, but to me, it's the way he contorts every syllable and alters his pitch and the speed of his words. Yeah. I think it's extremely creative and really catchy, and I just love it. Like,
yeah, when he was rhyming, I was fine with it. I thought the rhyming was good. Right. Just when he tried to sing along with Elton John, it just felt a little bit forced. I was like, are you like, to me, like when I see bands do this with songs, I was like, is this a good song, or are you just trying to convince us by using a good song that it's a good song?
Right. Yeah. See, I get that. I mean, it's not only was I gambling when I decided to show you this song, he was gambling when he made this song, because I mean, it's pretty crazy that he just decided to rap over Rocket Man essentially with some basic trap drums. Like, I don't really you don't see that every day.
No. And was this a hit? Like, did people buy this?
He's not. So Young Thug's been around 2014, 2015 since then. And he's started off really popular in like hip hop circles. Like, if you liked like melodic hip hop, kind of that Atlanta trap style, Young Thug was very popular. He didn't really get any mainstream success or radio play until after this song came out in about 2018. He featured on some pretty massive pop songs. And now like his albums are charting and going really, really high. His singles always do really well now.
Is this a pretty typical of what one of his songs would sound like, or is this atypical?
It's so hard to say. He's like a chameleon. He can do everything. Some songs, are very rap heavy, and you'll have extremely, bassy instrumentals with, a lot of hi-hats and 808s, and he just rhymes for like 4 minutes. Or you'll have songs that are more like this, where, there's some crooning and singing going on, and it's very melodic. He released one album that was like very inspired by country music. Right. It's got a lot of acoustic guitar. Young Thug, he's hard to pin down.
Yeah, he just sounds really high and just garbling over a song.
He is always extremely high.
Yeah. I got that impression. Yeah, it's just, you know what it is when you've lived with a song like Rocket Man that I've known my whole life, and you hear this version of it. Like I said, my lizard brain couldn't handle it. It's I was like, I just want to hear Rocket Man. I don't want to hear Young Thug duet with Elton John.
Yeah, no, I get it. I really do. And I've been listening to Young Thug since I was 14 years old, and he was, he was selling like 10,000 copies of his songs, right? Yeah. So I've got 6 years of growing with him and listening to his style evolve and being a pretty diehard fan. So my brain is now wired to accept his garbled vocals and the insane experimentation he does. Like, my brain has decided that it likes it.
It likes it,
and I completely understand why other people's brain don't.
And as I said in an earlier podcast, the fact that I don't like this song is not a bad thing. It's probably not meant for me. It's probably meant for a generation that may not be so familiar with Elton John or Rocket Man. That's probably who the audience is intended.
Right. I completely agree. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the biggest barrier to getting into pop rap these days, or you can even say more melodic hip hop, is the importance of lyricism is almost zero in a lot of popular rap music nowadays. And even a lot of the artists I like a lot, like Young Thug, and the artists he influenced, like Gunna, or Lil Uzi Vert, Playboy Cardi, all some of my favorite artists, and their lyrics are something that, you know, I could have written when I was 8 years old, 9 years
Yeah.
old. So there's something about that genre of music where you just have to go into it and accept that it doesn't matter what they're talking about.
Right.
All
That's so weird.
all that matters is how it sounds, how it sonically sounds when it hits your ears, and how that makes you feel, what kind of vibe it gives off.
Right.
That's all that matters to this subgenre of hip hop, and it's a very hard suspension of disbelief almost.
Right. When we were growing up, when hip hop sort of was becoming a thing, when you had like Public Enemy and NWA, authenticity was very important. Living the life that you're singing about was very important. So when you think about Tupac or Biggie, they were hustlers. So they sang a lot about doing that. So it was more of authenticity was important. And as I guess it's become popular and it's mainstream now, it's no longer an underground sort of movement. That has sort of not been the case, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you look at a lot of popular, like, you know, when you think of generic pop music, they're not really pushing any lyrical boundaries in pop songs, but pop never really has. Whereas rap has this background of, you know, it came from such a lyrical place. And so it's always going to be looked at in that light of originating with, you know, rhyme and poetry and all those things. And when it strays so far from that, but it's still called hip hop, it's hard to get over that kind of barrier, I feel like.
Yeah, and there's obviously been like rock bands that have pushed the envelope. You know, Marilyn Manson comes to mind, Nine Inch Nails, which we listened to a Nine Inch Nails song a while ago. They definitely push the boundaries of what's decent and what's obscure or immoral. Those bands definitely do that. It's like David Bowie said, you sort of hold up a mirror to society and then you write about that. You're not trying to define it. You're not trying to figure out society. You're just sort of mirroring what you feel society is. So that's where I guess I like more authenticity. I like, you know, as we mentioned earlier, I do like a little bit of rage in my music, especially hip hop. I do like some rage in hip hop. So with hip hop artists now, would Little Nas be like the most rageful hip hop artist around right now?
I guess so. I see what you're saying, you know, in
Yeah.
the way that he invites controversy and embraces controversy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't even know if I would call him a rapper. I feel like he's gone just pretty much strictly in the pop lane. You know, obviously the beats he uses are very hip hop derived.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. He's got a lot of rage for good reason.
Yeah, when I see this sort of irreverent, angry sort of music, now from the hip hop community, I think of him because he's got some, you know, for lack of a better word, he's got some balls that he's displaying out there.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see he was planning on releasing a shoe that was like it was with a custom sneaker company? Yeah, and it was They took Nike shoes and they put like a drop of human blood in the sole or something. It was very satanic.
See,
like, I thought that's hilarious.
That's fantastic. Like, that's what I like. I like that
Yeah.
kind of behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but like you say authenticity. I'm just gonna read out a quote from a Young Thug verse. So in the song "Check" from the album Barter 6, my favorite Young Thug album, he said, "If cops pull up, I put that crack in my crack, or I put that brack in my brack." Now, I don't know about you, but I fully believe that Young Thug is willing to go to those lengths to keep from going to jail. You know, I think he truly means that he would put the crack in his crack.
I believe that as well. I believe that as well. Yes. Hopefully it doesn't have to come to that.
Hopefully not.
No, but that's cool. That's one place. That's one place to do it. That'll take a little bit of time to find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we ask Darren what he thought of the song?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Darren.
Yeah, I think I had the same response as you did. It's Rocket Man. Then it's not, and it's weird and wrong.
Yeah, I think it's our lizard brain, Nick. We're too set in our ways with Rocket Man.
Very understandable.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks for that, Nick. That was really enjoyable. I enjoyed ripping on that one.
Yeah. No, you need to get a rip sometimes.
You absolutely do.
Yeah.
All right. So going forward to the next song, I had you listen to ZZ Top Tush. Now, this wasn't. I wasn't even going to play you ZZ Top for this week. This was not the song I was going to play you, but this was the song I ended up playing for you, and I'll explain why after we just hit play. All right, so there's Tush. Nick, what did you think?
So, I gotta be honest, this song kind of underwhelmed me a little bit on my first few listens. I felt like the instrumental was just like missing something. Like maybe the drums weren't mixed high enough, or I didn't feel like there was a very strong bass line or anything. I'm not sure what it was, but this song didn't move the needle too much for me.
Right. Well, I'll tell you why I got you to listen to this song. This song was released in 1975. Dusty Hill was the singer. It's mostly Billy Gibbons was the one that mostly sang all the ZZ Top songs, but Dusty Hill actually sang this song, and he died last week. So, in honor of Dusty Hill, we got to listen to Tush, one of his most known songs that he sang. So that's why I played you this song this week.
Oh, well, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. Now I feel bad for saying the song
No.
didn't move the needle.
You're all right. So this was a very blues-based song, very guitar-driven blues-based. Now, I think you've told me in the past you haven't really listened to a lot of blues-based music. Is that correct?
Not a ton, no.
So ZZ Top was a band that really started getting popular in the 70s. They played a lot of southern Texas, Louisiana sort of places when they started. When they got booked on a nationwide tour, I think I said this in a previous podcast. When they got booked, the people that booked them didn't know they were white. They thought they were a black band.
Oh, right, yes, I remember you mentioning that.
And so that's ZZ Top. This song, Tush. What do you think Tush is about?
It's talking about like girls and stuff.
Exactly, it's about ass.
Yeah.
ZZ Top is not a very ambiguous band when it comes to their song titles. It's pretty clear what they're singing about. In the 70s, they had other songs called. Here's 3 songs I'm going to give you. One was called Pearl Necklace.
Nice.
Tube Snake Boogie. And Velcro Fly. And then Tush. So they were not.
I love it.
They were not messing around with their song titles. They pretty much told you what they were about.
No subtlety, just shooting from the hip.
So I first got to know ZZ Top in the 80s. During the MTV era, they were one of the first bands that used video to their, just to expose the band and bring their songs to a new audience. Because in the 80s, so they're a 70s band, so they started out in the early 70s. So when they started releasing songs in the 80s, no one really listened to them until their videos came out. So their first video was a song called "Give Me All Your Lovin'," followed by "Sharp Dressed Man," and then "Legs." I don't know if
"Sharp Dressed Man." I know that one.
That's ZZ
Top.
Top.
A good song. That's a good song.
That's a great song. So their videos were just heavily rotated on MTV, and it brought the band to a brand new audience, and they started selling more records than they ever had before.
Huh, that's really cool. I think you mentioned this before when we mentioned ZZ Top. Maybe this was when we weren't recording, but you said that in their early period they didn't really have a ton of commercial success, and it wasn't until later that they were getting radio play and that mainstream love. So, what would you attribute that all to the advent of video and MTV, or did their musical style change as well?
They became a much more of a pop-based band in the 80s, which a lot of 70s artists did. They became more pop stars in the 80s. So if you think about Stevie Wonder, when we listened to Superstition, to the stuff that he released in the 80s was completely different. And he sold so many more albums in the 80s than he ever did in the 70s. ZZ Top were the same. They had some really great hits in the 70s, but it was the 80s where they made all their money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. And so you discovered them in the 80s, and was that through Much Music?
Absolutely, much music, yeah. And your dad had I think it was called Eliminator, was the name of the album that all those songs are on. And I used to play that again. Used to play that record when he wasn't around.
Uh, it's funny. I saw him after you listened to the episode where you said you stole Sergeant Pepper's,
Yeah,
and he was saying like, yeah, like what other albums was he stealing from me and listening to without me knowing? He's getting all paranoid. He's like,
yeah,
what else is there? You know?
yeah. He shouldn't have left
So
them lying around if he didn't want me to listen to them. But
yeah, now add another one to the list.
yeah.
Eliminator.
I think Eliminator was his. Yeah, so I definitely would have been listening to this as well because I think he bought this album. If I'm not mistaken, he would have loved some ZZ Top in the '80s himself.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you know, I must say their beards are fantastic.
Well, do you know what's funny? The drummer, his last name is Beard, but he doesn't have a beard.
I mean, like I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious. They all have beards except the guy named Beard.
Yep, the drummer has no beard and his last name is Beard.
I love that. You know
Yeah.
what? Even though the song was kind of underwhelming for me, everything you've told me about ZZ Top today makes me love them.
Yeah, great band. Like they had there's a documentary about them on Netflix that's out right now. And they're like three guys in like their 70s and they were just rehearsing and they sounded better than any band that's out right now. They were so tight and they just knew how to play music so well. So if you get a chance, there's a documentary on them on Netflix. Give it a watch, and then you can see them playing in their old age, and they are fantastic. What a band in their old age! I couldn't believe how good they were. Just rocking out. It was really good.
That's really cool. I feel like so many bands, you know, once you hit a certain age, it either, you know, you either you still have it or you really, really don't have it anymore, but they still try to cling on to those last few tours. You know, a lot of bands go one or two tours past where they should have stopped,
Right.
and it's bad.
I think the difference between bands that are coming out right now and the bands that were coming out when we were younger and like from the 60s and 70s is that when you were starting out back then, you had to tour your ass off and you played and played and played and played and you failed in front of people, but you were playing for years until you sort of got success. So you were just fantastic players and could perform live. Now that's not so important. With technology the way it is, you can be a huge artist and never have played a live show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the acts now don't have the musical chops that they would have had back in the day where, you know, like if you look at a band like AC/DC, I'm here in Australia, AC/DC are a very important band. AC/DC would have done the tour around Australia and played dive bars where people were throwing bottles at them. And you have to succeed pretty quickly so people stop throwing beer bottles at you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're most definitely 100% right when you say that musical acts nowadays, they don't have, in general, they don't have the chops to play live that older acts do. I mean, obviously there's notable examples. There's still great bands and artists that sound fantastic live, but you still get those ones where it's like, oh my God, like you are meant to be a studio musician, right? Or they don't even try, really. Like they don't tour.
No. I'll give, when we saw Portugal the Man and there was that opening rap band, I can't remember what they were called. What was that guy called again?
Oh, Jack Harlow.
I'll give him credit because he failed that day. He was crap, but he failed. But he gave it 100%, and now look at him like that. I'll give him credit for that. It was not his crowd, but he still went out there and put in a good performance, and he would have probably have done that show to different audiences for that whole year. And I'll give him credit. He put in a performance, and he probably learned from that, and it just helped him going forward.
Absolutely. He actually, not that this is a episode about Jack Harlow, so I'll just briefly mention this, but yeah. I saw an interview with him the other day, and he said, for so many years I was just bombing. Like I was going to shows and playing to 10 people, and by the time I was done, like it'd be 2 people left, my girlfriend and my manager.
Yeah.
for years, and that builds character.
Absolutely. Like, my favorite band is U2, and when they first did their first England tour, like when they played London for the first time, I think there was 3 people in the audience, and they were trying to get a record deal. They were trying to get a record deal, and no one gave a crap. Like no one cared about this band, but they just kept going, and they failed, and it just built character, and they got better, and yeah. So there's something about just plain. And like failure's not bad. Failure's okay. It just it'll lead somewhere if you're if you have enough tenacity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very, very important message to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, ZZ Top, I respect the hell out of them now. I'm gonna have to see some videos of them performing
Yeah.
in the modern day to see what it's like, the old guys performing.
Yeah. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ZZ Top songs. Not the one I was going to attend not to play you, but in honor of Dusty Hill, rest in peace, we played Tush.
Yes, rest in peace, Dusty Hill. And I really don't know what it was about this song. Like I tried so hard to get it to click, but
Yeah.
it just felt like nothing really happened in it, other than there was a cool guitar solo about 2/3 of the way through. That was cool.
It is
But other than that,
it's a very blues based start and then end. Yep. You're absolutely right. That's the blues.
Exactly. It's, I didn't really feel like it didn't build up to much. It's just it starts at, starts at 60 kilometers an hour and finishes at 60 kilometers
absolutely
an hour.
That is,
what I mean?
It absolutely did that. Yes. Darren, what did you think of Tush?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's not a great song, but it's also not a terrible song for me. So
thank you very much, Darren. All right. So Nick, tell the people how to get a hold of us.
All right. So you can email us at justhitplay7300@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram at justhitplaypodcast. You can also find our Spotify playlist, which is updated weekly as episodes come out with the songs from that week. That is Just Hit Playlist on Spotify.
And don't forget to give us some reviews and some love on iTunes and Spotify. Please give us a rating. We've had a couple people tell us that we're doing a great job. No one has told us we're assholes yet, so that's always nice. And if you want to go on Facebook, you can just hit play. You can search for it on Facebook, and I post a lot of songs there that we play here. And at the end of the show, we like to play an independent artist. Our independent artist this week is Maddie Regent and her song Ego. Maddie is from Toronto. She was born to Nelly Furtado, Avril Lavigne, and Down Parkas. At 18, she moved to New York City to study film. In the summer of 2019, she started to work with writer and producer Lion Child, who has worked with Britney Spears and someone named Bebe Rexha. I don't know who that is. They released a couple different songs, and this is a song we're going to listen to. It's called Ego. Darren, thank you very much. Just hit play.
You think the whole world is turning around you, acting so recklessly. Where's your empathy? So high on yourself so that no one can touch you. You're looking down on me, next to me. But you're so blind to the truth. Your insecurity is cruel. You justify every excuse to deny the things that you do. It's all just your ego. You and your ego. And no matter what it is, you'll keep up with it. Since it's all for your ego. All just your ego, your ego, your ego. It's all just your ego. It's all just your ego, your ego, your ego. And no matter what it is, you'll keep up with it. Since it's all for your ego. You have it all, but you don't even notice. Chasing a faster life, you're never satisfied. You don't care about all the hearts that you've broken. You never pay the price, must be nice. But you're so blind to the truth. Your insecurity is cruel.